Welcome back to the Egg Whisperer Show. I'm Dr. Amy, and today we're breaking down the setbacks you might encounter during an IVF cycle and how to reframe them so you stay hopeful and empowered. Let's get started. IVF is very fun, fabulous, and full of hope. I imagine you're surprised hearing me say that. I think of IVF also as very effed up sometimes, isn't very fun, fair enough, is very frustrating, yep, I hear you, but also is very fortunate for those who need it, is very forward-thinking, hello science, is very full of possibility, yes, really. Why is it that men get to put sperm in a cup, but women, we inject ourselves with hormones, we get anesthesia, we have a surgical procedure with a needle? I pray for the day when a woman won't have to go through all of this just to retrieve eggs. How come women just can't ejaculate eggs? Well, that's called biology. But the reality is, I believe we'll continue advancing reproductive medicine until this process is easier, gentler, and maybe even needle-free. And if I have anything to do with it, that day is coming. But now let's talk about the journey. It's not always a smooth one, and it helps to be prepared. I don't want IVF to steal your joy. Let's take a look at 5 things that can feel like setbacks and 5 ways to reframe them so you stay hopeful and empowered. I have another episode that shares the things that IVF can teach you, and I do fully believe that while sometimes IVF cycles don't go just as planned or hoped, every cycle lets us take a look at what's going on and gives us more data and information to learn from. Number 1, you're all ready to start your medications and you go in for that first baseline ultrasound and blood test, and you find out that either there's a cyst or your hormone levels are off. A short delay now can set you up for better success later. Your doctor will tweak the plan so you're in the best position possible. If you're at this point, it's an opportunity to go back and make sure that you've done all the tests that I share with you in the Tushy method. Take a break, look at everything, make sure that you've left no stone unturned. The second setback, you start medications and your follicles don't grow as expected. First, it's important to understand the IVF pyramid. Some of what you're seeing may be normal and part of the normal IVF attrition, but sometimes it can be unexpected. When you start off with a certain number of follicles, not every follicle will grow, and it's important to understand that. And when you start off with a certain number of follicles, typically more eggs don't grow. Every cycle is a learning experience. Your doctor can adjust medications to better support follicle growth next time. It's a process and not a one-time shot. The third setback is you go through an egg retrieval, and the number of eggs retrieved isn't what you had hoped. But remember, it's not just about numbers, it's also about quality. One good egg can change everything, and your doctor will help make the most of what you have. I can tell you countless stories of patients who've gone through IVF with me where we were expecting, let's say, 5 eggs, and we got 3, and we were still successful. The fourth setback is you wait for fertilization results, and the numbers also just don't go your way. Typically, the fertilization rate is approximately 80%. And we also know that if the numbers from your embryo testing are seeming off, make sure and talk to your doctor and the genetic counselor. And this is also a time to ask your doctor more questions and ask if they should adjust the protocol. Look at the sperm quality. See if they should add something like microfluidic sperm sorting with Zymont, and ask if there are other options to improve your odds. The fifth setback is you wait for blastocyst development, genetic testing, and all the unknowns in between. And the waiting is hard, but focus on what's in your control, taking care of yourself, staying informed, and leaning on your support system. You are not alone in this. So if you find out that you don't have as many blasts or any blasts or results that go your way, this zone of unknowns and the mental and emotional drain it can take is why I always have patients set up their own fertility team, talking to a therapist, eating healthy, exercising, consider acupuncture, and practicing mindfulness and meditation is really important because these kinds of setbacks can be devastating. They can make us spiral, and it's important to do all of this before you need it as it does set you up for mental success during your IVF process. And through it all, life keeps moving. Work, home, relationships, responsibilities. It doesn't stop. IVF can be an emotional roller coaster, and let's be real, the hormones don't help. Your mood may be spicier than a jalapeno, and that's okay, because I always tell people spice never killed anybody. Just drink a glass of water. But here's the thing. Yes, there are challenges, but you don't have to put your whole life on hold. Coffee, alcohol, if that's something that you drink, in moderation, exercise, and yes, even sex can still be a part of your life, but always check with your own personal physician. The key? Go in with knowledge, realistic and practical expectations, and a plan for coping with whatever results come your way. If you know what to expect and what the possible setbacks are, you're going to be well informed and empowered on your IVF journey. If you know ahead of time that 10 follicles don't automatically mean 10 embryos, you'll be prepared. If you understand that every IVF cycle won't always result in a baby, you'll navigate the process with more resilience. Of course, sometimes I'm really cheeky. I know how serious this process is. At the end of the day, knowledge is power. Talk to your doctor, know your IVF pyramid, understand your stats, your diagnosis, your goals, and what's possible for you. IVF isn't just hard, it's also hopeful. It's a path that for many leads to the greatest joy of all. Now go bring that embryo home. IVF can test your patient's emotions and resilience, but it can also be an incredible journey filled with learning, growth, and hope. No matter where you are in the process, remember that knowledge is power, and having the right mindset can make all the difference. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more insights and visit dramy.org for even more resources to support your fertility journey. Take one of my classes. You've got this, and I'm here to help every step of the way. See you next time.